Hi, this is Jeff with AWT. Today we're going to be showing you how to install our scales on a mini grip. First off, this is what you're going to get in the bag. One of our stickers, business card, scales, backspacer with 2 screws. Now to install, you're going to need a T6, T7, and T9 Torx driver. The T6 driver is for all of these little screws on the stock scales. The T7 is for our 2 included screws, and the T9 is for the pivot. What you're going to want to do is start it off. Benchmade likes to use a lot of Loctite on their blades. These 4 screws, there's 2 more into this pocket clip, are really hard to get out sometimes. They like to strip the heads easily, so what you're going to want to do is be very careful, press down with a lot of pressure, and make sure that they get broken free. You're going to want to save these 3 screws in the pocket clip. We'll be reusing those. You'll also be reusing the 4 main body screws as well as the pivot assembly. These 3 screws that hold the back together you'll no longer need. Now, one thing you can do is if you do strip out the heads on one of these, we do it a lot, is these screws here are the same head size and thread pitch. So if you take them and hold them with a pair of pliers and grind them down on a bench grinder or a sander, you can grind them down to the length of these shorter screws and use them in place of these short screws if you do strip these out. Be careful to pry these off so screws don't fall out everywhere, and just use a poke them out. Four screws, male assembly. You're going to use something long here to poke the pivot out. Again, same thing. I like to leave everything together, especially if your knife's not dirty. This one's not very dirty. And then you take your right side of the scale, place it on. You want to pull back on the axis lock. It relieves the pressure on the blade so you can get the pivot in. Otherwise, you're going to have a really hard time getting the pivot in. I like to use this Allen key here, or you can use anything like a paper clip. Poke in the hole, get everything lined up. You take your female pivot side, it's got the D cup, so its D is going to be going this way. Get it in. And sometimes it takes a little wiggling. I'll see there my blade, it's moved over. Take a little bit of finagling to get in, but as long as you get everything lined up, it will drop right in. Just like that. Other side. At this point, I like to take just a drop of blue Loctite, put it on the male end of the pivot assembly, and drop it in. Jump frame here. And you want to pull it up nice and snug, suck everything together, and then back it off half a turn or so. To start, you reuse the 4 body screws. Drop them in with your T6 driver. Just nice and snug, don't go crazy. They are very small screws. There's no need to put Loctite on them. I have not had one fall out on me yet. Okay. You're going to take your backspacer, put it in, get it kind of lined up here, and the 2 provided screws are going to go in. Now these 3 screws thread directly into this aluminum scale, so again, they don't need to be excessively tight, just snug. And then what I like to do is, the backspacer, make it flush, just give it a little push down, flush it out with the end. Just get it slightly snug, make sure it's nice and flush. Give it a little push if it needs. So everything's nice and flush. And then just a little snug. Because it's steel screws threading into aluminum, again, there's no need for Loctite. The aluminum will gall ever so slightly and hold the screws in place. Now you take your pocket clip with the 3 screws it came with. And adjust your pocket clip where you like it. I like to just kind of get it in line with the scales. Snug these up. These ones, if any, are the ones that back out because you're constantly getting the lift. So I make these nice and snug because they're going in the steel liner. But again, no Loctite. I never use any because then later when you go to take them out, you're going to strip them. So that's about it. Then you take your T9 driver. You want to check your play. See how much play there is. See, there's play in this one. So I like to adjust it just right. And every time you adjust it, it's going to squeeze it down tighter. So I like to give it a little wiggle, which helps kind of spread it back out to where it's actually going to sit. Too tight. There you go. And that's how you assemble an AWT mini grip.